Well, I am anxious to hear to a friend of the program, Patrick Byrne. He is the founder and former CEO of Overstock.com. He now has assembled what he calls an army of hackers and cyber sleuths that can prove Trump won the election. His website, where you can find some of the stuff that he's working on now, is deepcapture.com. Always fascinating. Patrick Byrne. Hey, Patrick, how are you?
Glenn, long time no speaky. How you been?
I know, very good. You kind of fell off the map, and you went, kind of in your own direction there for a while before you surfaced again. I want to talk to you about Deep Capture, but first, let's talk about what you're doing with the election.
Great. Yeah. The truth is, I've been on this. I did go overseas and hit out for about 6 months. Came back. I've been working on this since August. The truth is, this is what's happened. In November of 2018, there was an election in Dallas that had irregularities, and the state government of Texas hired a blue ribbon governor's commission, studied it, hired a top flight cybersecurity team filled with military intelligence and federal law enforcement and those kind of people. And they've been studying what happened in Dallas for 2 years and how do you hack an election running on Dominion servers. They came up with a dozen ways you could do it. These systems are very porous. And as a guy who built a $2 billion e-commerce company that never got hacked the whole time I was running it, that's not I'm telling you, these systems are a joke in terms of security. I got involved this August with them and another cybersecurity team and attracted a related army. I'm not sure I would call them an army so much as the Bad News Bears. We're like the Bad News Bears. I'm the team coach. Various ethical hackers and other kinds of these two cyber groups and other kinds of operatives. And we knew this was coming. And we, like I said, one of these groups had 2 years to study this and had reverse engineered exactly how you hack an election using these systems. And everything that we expected to happen happened in spades on November 3rd. By about November 5th or 6th, we had the whole puzzle pieced together from a data point of view.
And I want to make sure that everybody understands. You went to the DHS in August, or this team did, and said, you've got to prepare because this is how it's going to happen. And
yeah, I misspoke, by the way. And when I said they didn't take the meeting, I said that on one show. It wasn't quite true. There were multiple meetings of this cybersecurity group in August and September with DHS representatives in Texas, and it got briefed up 2 or 3 levels up the chain. But CISA, or CISA, people pronounce it both ways, the CISA, which is a group within DHS that does cybersecurity. Are you familiar with CISA?
A little bit, yes.
And it's this guy Krebs who came out a couple of weeks ago and said this is the most secure. Yeah, he's a Microsoft lawyer, incidentally. Just so you know, so that group refused to attend the hearings. It got to the point that it was being picked up and it got crammed down from up above in DHS and was crammed down by the CISA guys refused to attend. Just so you know.
Okay, so tell me how did they do this, and can you prove it?
Yes, we can prove it, and our understanding of how they did it is evolving. I've got more information that have not really yet shared publicly. I'll share on your show.
Okay.
So about 10 days ago, I came out and started explaining how they did this. How they did this was they realized there were 6 counties. To steal the nation, so this is a soft coup. Make no mistake. To steal the nation, you don't have to steal elections everywhere. You have to steal 6 counties, but those you have to steal like crazy. And those six cities really are Atlanta, Philly, Detroit, Milwaukee, and Maricopa, which is Greater Phoenix, and Clark, which is Greater Las Vegas.
Okay, so hang on just a second. Those are the same counties that do not perform like other big cities. Those counties completely break with all of the other big city counties in the country, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, and that's correct. And what I'm explaining, the story I'm telling you explains why, but good for you to catch that. Those 6 counties are also the places We heard these crazy stories of polls counting being shut down in the middle of the night. Have you ever heard of that?
Right.
And the reason those 6 counties are so important is if you steal them, you flip the states that they're in. And if you flip those 6 states, you flip the Electoral College and you steal the nation. And they also picked 4 of those counties are heavily black. And that is not to say, I want to be clear, this is not about voter fraud. I'm not claiming that the voters committed fraud. It's the election officials and the system that did. I think they picked 6 cities also, or 4 of those cities being heavily black, also played into their hands because the elites love to use the black people population to hide behind. And they, just like in Vietnam, that there were VCs who would go to a village and shoot at U.S. soldiers to get us to attack the village, or in Iraq, there were guys who would go into mosques and shoot at soldiers to try to get us to hit a mosque. They did this from 4 heavily black cities, African-American cities, which is not to say that the African-Americans committed the fraud. They did it so that when all this gets exposed, they're going to be able to say, wait, you're trying to suppress black vote. It has nothing to do with the black people.
So it's just the cry of racism that will be held up.
Yeah, and I will have nothing to do with anything white identitarian. I'm making that clear.
You're a libertarian. You didn't even vote for Trump, right?
I did not vote for Trump.
So
I've never had voted Republican or Democrat for president in my life.
Okay.
I'm a straight libertarian guy.
Okay.
So this is purely unconstitutional. If they had done this to Barack Obama, if they had done this to Joe Biden, I'd be doing the exact same thing I'm doing now. It had, so it's purely on principle.
Yeah.
So they realize if you jack those 6 counties, and so those counties are the place you see this extraordinary the shutting down of mains and such. We've uncovered something new. We've not really exposed to the world yet, but because it's your show, I'll tell you first. Besides that kind of theft, what they did in those states, so they took places that were blue and they cheated to make them intensely blue. They also took places that were intensely red and cheated to make them just red. And that way people wouldn't notice. So if you go across, for example, the north of Georgia, there are a number of counties that are normally intensely red. They cheated in rural areas, stealing 300 votes here and 600 votes there. By the way, we have affidavits. We have people who are involved. And we see the kinds of people they preyed on. They found rural areas where you have some 75-year-old guy running something who's not Okron on technology. And they did, and we have the paper rolls from machines that show things like this. They absolutely were switching votes, what they did in those kind of places was shave votes off. So Trump goes from winning from 65 to 60%. Doesn't look too strange. It's still intense red. Doesn't look strange to people. What they avoided was taking a place that was only, say, light red and flipping it blue, because that would have alerted people. So they took intensely red counties and made them slightly less red, and they took blue counties and made them more intensely blue.
So I was just talking to the state senator in Pennsylvania, and he said, we're running out of time. I don't know if we can prove this in Pennsylvania, only because we just are running out of time. When are you going to release all of this and put it out for a court?
Well, that's up to Sydney's got her path. Mayor Giuliani has his path. I'm not working for either or aligned with either. This army, we constructed a system where this bad news bears is generating the information, and we were piping it. I've tried, of course, to pipe it to mainstream media, but you know how that went.
Yeah.
And I opened it up to the people around the Trump administration. And so I'm not trying to take credit for anything. Sidney Powell had already figured out conceptually what had happened. We showed up with some missing pieces, the data and the technology explanations to help her. So it's really, I don't want to get in front of her headlights. So it's up to her as she's filing these things to reveal the evidence she wants to believe. But this is 100%. I would bet, if the normal legal processes could play out, there's no question in my mind this would all be revealed for a massive election swindle on a scale we've never anticipated. So this is a coup. This is a coup against the United States, got to tell you. And I put my name, my reputation, everything on that.
Well, that is, that's going to happen just because you're doing this. No matter what you said, you are headed for a meat grinder. Right? Knowing you don't care.
Come get some. Bring it on. It's like when I came out I came out against Wall Street in '05, and I had the same experience, but I knew the facts were on my side. I knew '08 was going to happen. So they can do all, they can sing and dance and swear at me all they want. I knew the truth, and I knew the truth now. And you know what's funny? Wisdom of crowds. The Americans are not buying the lie on both sides of the aisle. It's remarkable. 45% of people, last I saw a few days ago, were saying they did not trust this election. That's just going to grow and grow as more of this information comes out.